They say knowledge is power, but let's be real, most people don't exactly feel the vibe when it's time to study. In fact, if you're like most people, you probably wait until the very last second before even glancing at what's on the next exam. You tell yourself you'll start early this time, but somehow you're deep in a YouTube rabbit hole watching a guy build a mud house in the jungle or binging TikToks for just 5 minutes that turn into hours. Here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're just untrained. Your brain's not the enemy, it's just never been taught to crave studying the same way it craves stimulation from your phone or a dopamine hit from fast content. But Harvard students in schools in Japan are using techniques so effective, they don't rely on motivation at all. They make studying feel natural, even addictive. These are psychological hacks anyone can use. And by the end of this video, not only will you know how to use all of them yourself, but I'll also share a strange little technique at the end, a bonus method almost nobody talks about. That could make your brain obsess over studying the same way it obsesses over your favorite show. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Harvard trick. Because they don't just study harder, they study smarter. Hack number 1. The Dopamine Anchor. At Harvard, students are encouraged to build a system around studying that gives them immediate pleasure. This is what's known as the dopamine anchoring loop. Before a study session even starts, they create small rituals that trigger their brain's reward system. Some light a certain candle, some sip a favorite tea, some put on a hoodie they only wear when they study. It sounds basic, but here's the magic. The brain begins to associate those cues with focus and reward. Over time, those triggers release dopamine before you even start studying. It's the exact same loop that gets people hooked on apps: cue, craving, response, reward, but now it's working in your favor. You're no longer relying on sheer willpower. Your brain actually wants to sit down and begin. And once it starts craving that loop, you've already won. Now that's the Harvard approach. But in Japan, they've taken it to another level entirely. The Japanese method: flow rituals that prime the brain. In Japanese schools, especially in high-performance environments, students are trained to enter a state of focus before they even touch a book. They don't just sit down and start. They clean their space. They neatly arrange their pencils and notebooks. Some pour tea. Others breathe deeply and close their eyes for a few seconds. It's not about being fancy, it's about creating a predictable routine that primes their brain for one job: focus. Psychologically, this is a form of environmental conditioning. The brain starts to associate the setup with calm, with control, with readiness. You're not throwing yourself into a storm of distractions, you're stepping into a mental dojo where studying is the only thing that exists. And here's the beautiful part. These micro-rituals eventually put your brain into what's called a flow state, that zone where time melts, distractions fade, and you can study for hours without feeling like it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because there's another method used by top performers that takes this even further, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But stay with me, because at the very end of this video, I'm going to share a bonus technique that most people never even consider. It's fun, weird, backed by science, and it makes your brain treat studying like it's a puzzle you have to solve. But let's not jump ahead just yet. Next up is something you've definitely experienced, probably without realizing it. Hack number 2, the Zeigarnik Effect. Ever start a Netflix episode and pause it halfway through? Yeah, good luck forgetting about it. Your brain hates unfinished business. This is the Zeigarnik Effect, a psychological principle that says we remember and obsess more over incomplete tasks than completed ones. Harvard students use this by starting their work and intentionally leaving it incomplete. Open the document, type the title, highlight a few key lines, then stop, walk away. That tension in your brain? It wants to close the loop. So when you come back to it later, you're already mentally invested. You're not forcing focus, it's pulling you in. This is why cliffhangers work so well. They hijack your attention. Now you're going to do the same thing with your own study sessions. It's brilliant. It's simple. And it's borderline manipulative in the best way. If you're learning something right now, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, because we drop deep psychological content every week that helps you get smarter, sharper, and more in control of your mind. Alright, back to the good stuff. Hack number 3, the pre-commitment contract. Now, this one's tough love, but it works like crazy. It's called a pre-commitment contract, and it's been tested at Harvard, MIT, and even by Nobel Prize-winning economists like Dan Ariely. The idea is simple. You set up a consequence before you start. You create pressure ahead of time, so failure becomes painful. One student gave his roommate $50 and said, only give this back if I finish my paper by Friday. If he didn't follow through, he'd lose the money. No excuses. No negotiations. Why does it work? Because your brain reacts stronger to loss than gain. It's called loss aversion, and it's one of the most powerful motivators known to psychology. So how do you use this? Easy. Make a public commitment. Tell your friends. Post on social. Bet money. Or promise to do something uncomfortable if you don't finish. Like 100 push-ups or sending an embarrassing text to your ex. Pain is a fantastic motivator. Use it. You're not relying on motivation anymore. You're setting up a system that forces your future self to take action, no matter how distracted you feel in the moment. Now, before we get to that bonus method I promised, let's recap everything so far. Number 1. Harvard students use dopamine anchors, small, enjoyable cues at the beginning of a session to get their brain hooked on studying. Number 2. Japanese students use ritualized flow, structured, calming pre-study routines that prep their minds for deep focus. Number 3. Use the Zeigarnik Effect. Start something, don't finish it, and let your brain's desire for closure pull you back in. Number 4. Set up a pre-commitment contract. Introduce real-world stakes, so procrastination isn't an option. Now here it is, the fun bonus method I promised. Turn study into a game using micro-rewards. This one's sneaky, but genius. Break your study session into tiny, bite-sized challenges. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Every time you complete a round, reward yourself instantly. 1 page, 1 point, 3 focused minutes, 1 reward. Use stickers, coins, a habit tracking app. Literally turn your brain into a scoreboard. Your brain loves progress. It's why we're addicted to video games. You're not studying anymore. You're winning, level by level. Step by step. It's gamification, and it turns your brain into your own study coach. Alright, now you know the methods Harvard and Japan are using, and you've got your own cheat codes to make studying addictive. You're not stuck. You're not unmotivated. You've just been doing it the hard way. But now, you've got the tools to study smarter, not harder, and actually enjoy it along the way. If this video helped you see your mind in a whole new way, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a drop from Subject 29. This is where we turn psychology into power. Now go out there, flip your mental script, and make studying your new obsession. Catch you in the next one.